Welcome to Life Support Live, the weekly live Star Trek show that helps you to boldly go in your own life to better ourselves and the rest of humanity.
As a famous starship captain once said, and as another famous starship captain once said, wherever our mission takes us, we'll try to have a little fun along the way.
Or maybe in today's case, a lot of fun. Hi, everyone. I am psychologist Dr. Ali Mattu.
Oh, you worked a little late on that one. Hey, it's I am Dr. Trek Larry Nemecek. We'll leave it to you to figure out who the real doctor is.
It's always a toss-up. It could be going anyways. Today, we are doing a watch-along, folks. We're going to have a lot of fun, because you know what? Because we all deserve it. We are watching 3 Star Trek episodes. There's a lot of Tribbles today. We're watching... What are we watching, Larry? Why am I blanking?
The Trouble with Tribbles.
Trials and Tribble-ations.
Yeah, Trials and Tribble-ations. And we're watching The Trouble with Edward.
Yes. You know what's cool about today?
It's a somewhat controversial choice. I just want to say up front, yes, we have the animated Tribble show, but we're cramming a lot into it. We're trying to stay to 2 hours-ish, and that would have really pushed us. So,
yeah, we would have done, if we had more time, we would have done the animated series. But what I like about today, Larry, is we're kind of, we're going to be tiptoeing in each of the major eras of Star Trek, from the original series to the Next Generation era, and now the modern era, which is both a prequel and a sequel. So, but in today's case, it'll be more of a prequel. I'm getting ahead of myself. Dr. Trek, if this is someone's first time here, what is this grand adventure, this Life Support Live?
Well, normally, Life Support Live is always about going boldly through uncertain times. And normally it's a great, well, it still is. It's always a mashup, we call it a mashup between Star Trek and mental health, seeing one through the other. And we have a lot of fun. We try to give you some real life takeaways, but always in the spirit of geeking out about Star Trek and maybe connecting some dots you never saw connected. Normally we have a theme. We have a very strict structure, which we are tossing out today in honor of, this is our first episode back in the normal world of having no fresh Trek.
Yeah.
The last 23 weeks we've taken our theme from whatever Lower Decks or Discovery gave us, and then applying that across all the canon with cases and with our wonderful Life Support Live Lifers community here. But today we're kind of unbound and wacky here the first week without an episode.
Unbound and wacky.
So we're doing a watch along.
Good way to describe it.
We're doing a watch along today.
The thing about Tribbles is there's a lot of ways to have fun with the Tribble episode. So I'd be curious to hear from our community. What's your favorite Tribble moment in all of Star Trek?
And there are more Tribble moments than beyond these. Increasingly, yes. There used to be a really good trivia question about the one time you got Tribble somewhere else besides the 3 Tribble episodes, but we've gone beyond that now. So. But anyway, yeah, you can get Tribble-itis in other places besides these 4.
Yeah, we've even gone beyond this, and we've even gone into darkness, Larry, with the Tribbles. We certainly have. Have you seen the Mirror Universe plush toy Tribbles? Have you seen those?
Not. I'm sure I have. Like with like teeth or something.
Yeah, teeth and like big jaws and stuff. Yeah,
I wouldn't doubt it. Well, I would have.
They have a big goatee. No, I'm just kidding. No goatee.
How do you? Yeah, the brown fur goes black or something, or contrast. Right. It's a two-tone.
It's a two-tone Tribble.
And I will say right up front that our friend Miles, that has run Tribbles.com for ages and ages and ages for a lot of your Tribble needs, and also, and neither one of these are like sponsoring us or anything. Our friends Kalea and Jay at Science Division have those AI automated Tribbles, and I can't believe they've got this great mom and pop little company, a program. You know, you can have the Tribble screech, you can have a purr. They're kind of amazing. And
yeah. I was gonna have my Tribble here, but my daughter won't let it go. She loves her Tribble too much.
You don't even look at her and say, "Let it go."
Oh, that is the crossover no one knew they wanted and no one needs.
Sorry.
So, folks,
The hidden Disney connection to yeah. Okay.
so we'll sync it. Here's how this works. If this is your first time doing a watch along with us, what you want to do is pull up. The first one we're doing is The Trouble with Tribbles. I'm
sense.
watching it off of Netflix, and on Netflix it's listed as season 2, episode 15. So
Because that's what
get yes. Fire that up. Get it ready. Don't hit play just yet. We're gonna sync ourselves up, and then we're gonna be discussing the episode as we go along. Larry's got some things he wants to share. I've got some things we want to share. We want to hear your comments as we're watching along.
I don't know.
Then we're going to transition over to what is essentially the sequel? Is that fair to call it a sequel?
The overlay, it's technically a sequel, I guess. It's like the hidden overlay to yeah. Because it does happen. It's not simultaneous with the first one. It's like repeat the first one and now add this.
Right.
We could get into a ridiculous whatever you want to get into there, but don't.
Very wibbly wobbly. It's very timey wimey.
Tribbly wibbly, some might say.
It's tribbly wibbly. Yes, it is. It's very tribbly wibbly. That should have been the name of this episode. Mm-hmm. Well, when we release a podcast version of this episode, we'll call it tribbly wibbly. Mm-hmm. All right, folks. Fire that up. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Larry, you want to do the honors and count us in?
I guess so. Yeah, let's get into it because we've got, not 2 hours and 15, but we've got 2 45s and then a 15. Yeah. So okay. Are we all ready? Everybody?
Ready.
I'm on Netflix too. So here we go. The show that had a whole book, the second making of behind the scenes type book about Star Trek was written just about this episode by its boyhood wonder star author, David Gerald. Okay, here we go, everybody. 1, 2, 3, and go. Play. And I guess we're watching the remaster. A lot of people are seeing this.
Yeah, what's your feeling on these remastered versions being the default on Netflix?
It's fine as long as it's just there. Oh, it's this Netflix. The discs have both options. Does Netflix have? Netflix doesn't have both options, does it?
No.
Well, we have to guard against losing revisionist history then.
My feeling with these revisions is I really like the HD scan and the cleaning up of the original negative. Mm-hmm. I kind of miss the original effects. It's done very well for the
only mention of any hot war between the Federation and Klingons in canon until Discovery was right there. The way I said there was never a Klingon Federation hot war because they always talked about it being a Cold War with one sparked battle. So anyway. The people that were all, the Axanar, whatever you think of Axanar, the fan film, the demand that there had to be a hot war somewhere, and this is where it was. I always went, no, there was not a hot war. But anyway. Okay, I'm sorry. I
did not know that.
Everybody always talked about
I didn't think you were going to be coming out so heavy with such a big fact for us.
Well, you think it's a mere comedy. But Tribbles is just studded with. Well, put it down, Lieutenant. You know where that call's been. I always love that. Okay. I always love it when they say, I'm picking up a... Okay. Anyway, that's a pretty good teaser for a comedy.
Larry, are there other... Do we hear about other Station Ks?
Nope. It's an anomaly. If you were back in the nascent industry of Star Trek retconning and gap filling and all that, I think Jeff came up with that it was a K-class station and that there were other ones, like there's a K6 and a K5 somewhere. Yeah, I know. This almost looks like animated series-y here with the CG. Yeah,
it's much better on TNG. The new effects. Here, I think they went just a little too far.
Well, the thing about it, and remembering from the day when they were slogging through this, was there's like eras of like the original CG. There was the infamous nacelle cap fiasco. There's like
Right.
eras of the CG gradually
Right.
getting better, and they were going to go back and unify it, and they never did, which is
Well,
infamously
and we're
common.
gonna see that in the DS9 episode. We'll see the CG 1701, no bloody A, B, or C, or D, or E, or
Well,
J.
I'll save that for Tribble-ations. There you go, David Gerald. David Gerald, the college kid who sold this story. Yeah,
Christoph says K in K7 is for COD with 7 A's.
I think that was a setup.
Yeah, it probably was. Christoph,
Don't
you
hit the
got me.
station. Don't hit
You
the
got me.
station. The music, the score for this is.
Oh, it's so lovely. So I saw this model kit throughout my childhood. The models I could easily make were 1701, 1701A, 1701D, and Station K7.
Mm.
I
I
saw
did
a
a
lot of
I did a
Station
full
Ks.
job on. I mean, I did a full putty, and after I got a little older, I did a full putty and sandied K7. No, it's not. It's the general from Time Tunnel. Don't try to hide it. Quit Bissell.
Victoria says my dog is K9 Space
Space.
Station Lucy.
Oh, everybody, did I mention we have chat? Please jump in on the chat, everybody, if you're new to us this week.
Phil says, I personally like the new special effects, while I think Scott said he misses the old ones too. Yeah, it does look very animated series, Larry. That's a small transporter pad.
That's a small, well, it's a station. It's a private office transporter. It's like a microwave oven. You
Oh,
don't,
so it's actually a big one. It's like an office private shower.
yeah. It's a private office. It's a luxury.
Or is it Niels Barrett? Whatever his name is.
And that gives him the authority. I mean, it's Patty Duke's dad. It's
Oh, I do like that in the background, the Enterprise floating by there.
oh, you've never noticed that before?
Well, I haven't seen this
The what?
episode
The
in a
what?
long
The
time.
who? The which? The which?
The what? What?
Looks like Oxidol or something from.
This is hilarious.
Oh, this is deal. And of course, Triticale was. I remember my weekly reader talking about Triticale from Canada. It was like a big news thing, man. But you know, Tribbles is like the quintessential Star Trek of all the things. They take real world things and extrapolate them in the future. There's it maybe beyond Journey to Babel. It's the one time we actually talk about the Federation and the bureaucracy, aside from a couple of little one-offs.
Klingon agents. What's
Yeah.
what's something
Klingon agent.
what one of the things that I always love about science fiction is how so much of it looks at history and looks at trends at history and either repositions them into a different future or kind of asks the question of, well, what happened if the Roman Empire did this instead? And that becomes the basis for these things that we see in the future.
And two things. I think the whole I read Tribbles a billion years ago, his book, and I think everybody knows these things. But Sherman's Planet, which is interesting now that we know that since David came out as gay a billion years ago, but back in the day, Sherman's Planet was named for his girlfriend Holly Sherman.
Oh,
And reading that book on after the making of, which is on the nose, and then the personalized. Oh. Don't know. This is also the episode of The Exit Line. the comic. But he talked about little things like, oh, I named Sherman's Planet for my girlfriend. You know, little junior high brain me was like, oh my God. And that's like, oh, writers do that? It's like, okay. Anyway. Clump. Look, it's a wood bar. But
I'm having a very hard
thing
time.
about this episode was also you read David's monologue or his chapters on it, grappling with, maybe for the first time in Star Trek, grappling with how did capitalism and money and currency and business and commerce figure into the Star Trek future. And they went Mr. Lurie, who's the manager of the space station, was originally going to be Commander Lurie, and they made him like civilian, and they made the hierarchy of the station civilian, not Starfleet. And they were really, the whole thing about dickering and bargaining and credits. This is the first time we hear credits mentioned as the currency or whatever that means. This is before people had ATM cards, remember? So
yeah.
There was nothing digital.
I'm having a very hard time commenting, Larry, because the writing is so good. When I watch TOS again, I am so pulled into the dialogue and how funny it is, how layered it is. Here we go.
Well, when you're watching this show, it is. This one.
It's so small, the first.
And the actors love this. Nichelle and, poor George wasn't around for this one. He was on the Green Berets again still. But when Uhura literally says, how often do I get shore leave? It's Nichelle saying, how often do I get out of the damn chair? So, When you see Stanley Adams or Guy Richmond on something else, it's like the world knows them as Cyrano Jones and the bartender.
That's what you're trying to decide right now. Larry, have you seen anyone cosplay as these two?
I think I'm sure somewhere on the way I've seen somebody doing a Cyrano Jones. But yeah, for the tall, lanky types, the trader, I think that's what his name is in the script.
Yeah, I like his jacket.
It's not the bartender, it's the trader. What a guy. He's at that huge station and he does everything. He tends bar, he runs.
Right.
Oh, see the motion. Here's the Tribble in motion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's moving around. How did they do that?
They took the pictures are in there. They took little mechanical animals and covered them with the fur and then wound it up and let it go. Put the battery in, let it go. I'm dropping all kinds of little mini K3s today.
Keep them coming.
Which is kind of the... Oh, here, a little capitalism going here, see? A little 10% markup.
It's eating the grain.
Hey.
So...
Happy smiles all around. Yeah, CG. Nice angles. But coffee break.
So, are we to believe at this point that humans haven't really encountered tribbles before?
That's the feeling, isn't it? Oh, and Ed Reimers. So for everybody of a later generation, this was the Allstate guy, right? He was the original. No, Ollie, don't tell me you're not. He's the original. You're in good hands with Tribble, with Allstate, right?
Yeah, I remember him.
And so the classic blooper from this is they threw a Tribble at him when he did his little view screen scene and said, "And Captain, you're in good hands with Tribbles." They're so old, they're new. Well, put that battle cruiser down. You don't know where it's been.
Linda wants to know if tribbles have no teeth, how did they eat all that grain?
Who says they have no teeth?
I think they have teeth. You just
They have to
don't.
have. Yeah, yeah.
You just don't see them. The Mirror Universe ones have such big teeth that the Prime Universe ones must just have little itty bitty teeth.
Yeah, this isn't actually a score. It's a cobbled together tracked score from everything else. You've got the Romulan battle thing. There's your Enterprise and the Warband.
Those?
His eyeliner is so pretty, huh?
Those are Klingons?
We talk about it all the time. Okay. Act break.
Just not with outsiders.
Oh, what are we doing?
This is such a good episode. We've got Klingons, we've got comedy, we've got a little short
Klingons
leaf.
off the starboard bow.
We've got starboard bow, starboard. We've got cute little animals here.
Notice those. That's the console table without the middle one from the auxiliary control room. The console tops. It's the tune console. At least he didn't say shore leave, shore leave.
We Klingons.
They cut this.
We Klingons.
Yes, Klingon. Did you notice what he did there? He does the old, female shape thing, but the editing cut it. And he says we don't equip our ships with non-essentials.
Oh.
Unless you're the captain, of course. Or he says that. And remember, this is only like there'd been Omega Glory. Errand of Mercy brought him in. You had a Klingon from Friday's Child. You had one-off Klingons. This is only about the third or fourth time Klingons had ever been in a plot.
Wow.
Captain Kola. But the comedic, Gene Kuhn was David's overseer here, and that book also is one of the best long-running bits of getting a sense of Gene Kuhn's personality, actual personality. And the comedic thing that was one of the reasons why he left the show. Gene was concerned about the show drifting more and more with too much comedy, which is insane, because now that's people's favorite bits. That's to keep it that way. But this, you can have dangerous comedy, like right there. You didn't have a stinger music cue to underline it.
Well,
but that's the other thing. This was the episode that showed you could do sustained comedy. This one in Piece of the Action. Oh, and then famously, there's a phaser, which is actually a piece of real tech from something mundane that got used. But
I always make the argument that DS9 has the most connections to the original series, and here not only is the next episode an example of that, but Koloth. We see Koloth again.
Well, all the Klingons, you see, they actually mention Tholians and Tellarites and things in time. So, yeah. So here you've got some of those were just like air-operated bladder, like a little air tube, and they would just kind of squeeze the bladder and make it shake. Sorry, guys. I know everybody's commenting like crazy, too. I'm not trying to ignore the...
No.
Watch-alongs.
Larry, this is great. Please keep it coming. Again, I am so pulled into this episode. I have things to say, too. I just haven't said that because this episode is so good. It's so hard not to watch it.
It's Spock in the...
I have me to its effect. Spock!
Yay, Lab Jacket McCoy. Okay.
Spock would totally love a cat. I think Spock and cats would just be a wonderful, harmonious connection. Ha!
And here you go.
All right, so I asked the reason.
I was going to say, who in the show today, who with us today in the chat has not seen Tribble-ations? So I always want to go, remember this scene? Okay, now remember this scene.
This is where Jadzia is looking at Spock.
Well, Jadzia and Sisko are both in the background. Yeah, they revamped. Right. That yellow, remember the yellow?
If you squint
yellow panel.
really closely, you can kind of see them right there.
Yeah. Poor Niles.
Klingon!
God,
You gotta protect that grain. Do they change the way they say Klingon in the episode?
It's only the third time. It's just weird back and forth pronunciation. It's different actors saying it differently and no one catching it until it was all shot. And it was
Sick bay with a headache. So
I always wanted to know about McCoy's skull collection, what they were representing.
oh, I've never noticed that, Larry. That's a little.
Don't tell me you're one of those people that like watches the characters in the story. One of those wimps. Okay, fine.
I gotta tell you, folks, I had the pleasure of watching one new episode of Star Trek with Larry in person, IRL, and it was one of my favorite Star Trek watching experiences, Larry. Do you remember when I was visiting in LA and we both watched that new episode of Discovery together after dinner?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the last time we saw each other live.
Yes, I think so. That was one of the most fun
Yeah.
experiences I had because of
We found a late night bar and watched it on the bar TV, right? Or not? Am I dreaming
we
this?
couldn't find a way to watch it, and so we watched. I think we ended up watching it in my hotel room. Off
Yeah,
of
that's
my
right. That's
laptop
right. Don't tell
or
anybody
something.
I stayed in your room late. But anyway, yeah.
But I
For the midnight
folks,
airing of the new
you have
Star
not watched New Star Trek until you've watched it with Larry. Larry's dedication to understanding the art, the behind the scenes, the in front of the scenes, it's a wonderful experience, Larry. I really enjoyed watching that with you.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the famous scene.
Eddie
So,
Paskey.
okay, I got a little mental health I want to squeeze in here before we get
somewhere, please do.
Yeah. Okay, so I think a lot when I was thinking about Tribbles, and I was wondering if humans have encountered them before. The reason for that is, oh gosh, this guy's really peddling the Tribbles. Anyways,
It's an
animals
uphill
like
battle now. Yes.
animals like dogs in particular have and dogs and cats, but dogs in particular. It's so hard not to watch this. Animals like dogs have highly evolved. This was the wrong scene for me to try to share something.
The only other time, maybe one other time, but the first major time that you see the cadet uniform outside of Finney wearing it in shore.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of music tracking in this, but there are some original bits. This is one. And of course, Scotty's Scottish theme in a minute.
It's a lot of Tribbles.
Look, it's a precursor of the Wesley jacket. Oh, what?
So they would not reproduce like this without the grain, right? They would reproduce quickly, but not to this extent.
I think the grain's accelerating their metabolism. Yeah. And I didn't get this. I didn't get this until I read David's book, and this cute thing he does where he switches the glasses.
A little lady from Leningrad. I love how pro Russian Chekhov is, and again, folks, remember how radical that was in the '60s to have a Russian officer who so much loves Russia and is openly talking about Russian culture.
The Russia joke, yeah. This is the episode that gave us Klingon bloodworms, Regulan bloodworms and Antibian. Yeah.
What did you say? I never like Earthlings or
Earthers as a derogatory term. Yeah. Bloodworm, soft, shapeless. There's a thing that's overlooked a lot here in this scene in a minute too. That Koroks does. Another classic line. And our cheapo 60s plastic chairs.
Yeah, those chairs, they really fly away pretty quickly.
Why death? That's my opinion too. Now listen to the way he says this line. Not Scotty. Oh, there's the drink switch. Oh, it's not here. It's another line.
Definitely not synthahol. Sagging old rust bucket. Klingonese.
Yeah. Now listen to the way the Klingons Korok says his line. He was trying to mock Scottish there. You're right. But anyway. Let's get that close up. And one thing you forget is all the Klingons at his table are all laughing with him.
Yeah, if folks are wondering where we're at, we are about 24 minutes in, with 26 minutes left.
Where's the? Oh,
okay. we got this. We got this great brawl going. Now maybe I can share some mental.
In the middle of the great, timpani mess here. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, see that? See the octagon on the wall there? It's been all over the place, all over the station. Just remember that. I'll just say remember that. Okay. And the Jetsons drink dispenser over here. I always love that too. Winds up in sick bay.
Yeah.
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 The thing on the back there of Okay, you had a mental health note. Quick.
Yeah, no, I did. I did, but this episode is just too good.
Do your job. Stop goofing off.
Okay, so yeah, one of the things I wanted to mention about Tribbles is they remind me in many ways of cats and dogs, and dogs have been really pretty extensively researched because they sort of as we domesticated them, they co-evolved with us, and dogs have an ability to understand human emotion that is well beyond anything wolves can do. And they've also lost some of the abilities that wolves have of sort of being able to survive independently of us. We're very codependent, and the relationship that we have with pets, there's tremendous mental health benefits to both cats and dogs and other pets as well. Our relationship, that's a great moment, just taking that drink away.
Now do a take.
And he had one in his pocket. How did it not spill?
What a joke. Okay. What a long-term, long payoff joke. Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that pets do for us. They regulate our schedules. They can understand human emotion. So when we're down, they provide us with a little bit of extra support. If you squint really closely, you can see O'Brien here in this scene. You have to look real closely though.
Instead of Paul Baxley, who, shocker, is actually a stunt guy. After the fight.
So so not only can dogs know when we're down and provide us with extra support, but our relationship with them is so our relationship with the animals we have is so such a core part of who we are that losing an animal can feel as just as similar to losing a human in your life, and sometimes even worse because they tend to provide nothing but joy and love, really. So that's why I was wondering about tribbles. So my theory here is tribbles must have co-evolved with some humanoid species that's pretty similar to humans and a bit different from Klingons. Um, whether it's Klingons have a different smell or Klingons have a different way of presenting themselves. The Klingons don't like tribbles.
You noticed. Yep. I always love this.
That's when you hit the Klingons.
I was always so jealous that Scotty got his own theme, and there was never a McCoy theme. And of course, one of the best Jimmy Doohan's. This is the one that you thought, well, if Jimmy Doohan is just a utilitarian B player, that he can't handle, comedy or better stuff. And this was the scene that always would prove that, if you had any doubt. When you gave all of them a chance to shine, they could take it and run with it.
I get the impression Kirk can't get a break in this episode.
You guessed that, huh? Yeah. But it's like Tribbles. There's so many iconic bits in here that last for the whole franchise.
Oh yeah.
Now this is one of the most severe. I remember kind of wincing at this because this was like the scene that if you ever thought it was just a friendly, jibbing between the two blue shirts, that it really gets mean here. And I always kind of go, but because it's so tense, it's so tense. These Tribbles are such tension inducing. It's the Leonard and Spocky show. Point to Spock.
Nah. Oh.
Took the bait, Len. Okay. One of the only two good lab shots in the whole series.
So Cairo mentions that it's established that Klingons have a different smell, but Tribbles dislike them because Klingons are killing all the Tribbles they encounter. So that makes sense to me. If the Tribbles have evolved to identify the Klingons as some kind of natural
sentience
predator.
And shared communication across distance, yeah.
Are they sentient?
I want them to be. If they're that much of an enemy, don't they have to be some? This is where I lose track on how much has been retconned through the wackier later. Like, did Phlox drop? They're in Enterprise, which is the thing that throws this. But if they're so, well, we'll talk about this in a little bit. Like massive
why Klingons dislike Tribbles is explained in the next episode. Wait for it. Yeah. Nathaniel says,
go. Now this is the massively wound up animal Klingon. See, there's no visible line or anything there. Jerk it off.
Spock. That's a lot of Tribbles. So
no one thinks they have to start cleaning up already.
Yeah, they're almost parasitic in this way. I mean, there's a lot. These are a lot of Tribbles, and no one on the bridge seems to say, "Hey, we might have a little too many Tribbles here."
Now look at that. He actually got to say pregnant. There are so many things that slide by, which people wish he'd said asexual, but this is a Star Trek episode where he got to say not only pregnant and think about, sitcom couples sleeping in separate beds. He got to say pregnant, and then he got to say bisexual. How many other shows in the 60s or the 70s or the 80s got to say bisexual? I mean, it's like Jones says it. I use this line all the time. Too much of anything, even fill in the blank, Lieutenant.
Okay, so Kirk is seeing the foolishness of this. Nathaniel says, Ollie, in many parts of Europe, indoor pets were just becoming common in the 50s and 60s. They also are tied to huge improvements in quality of life. I don't know about the U.S. I think, I don't know the history of domesticated cats in the U.S., but dogs go back pretty far in the U.S., I think.
Well, I mean, in Europe, didn't the royalty and the monarchy and the upper classes have hunting dog? Well, that's not domesticated so much, but yeah. Sorry, everybody. I'm not looking at chat
Scott
very much.
Scott said the space. He said this a little while back. Space Seed sleep chamber behind them. Charlotte says, "Please spade and neuter your tribbles." Yes, you'd have to do that before they're born, though. Apparently.
That's pure David Gerald there. There's some of these sarcasm bits.
Oh, there's that wall thing.
Uh-huh.
What's the important project? The grain?
Yeah, the Sherman's Planet Development Project.
Okay.
Or the SPDP.
SPDP.
That's a line I use all the time. He simply
Cyrano
could not
Jones?
believe. No, he simply could not believe his ears. It's very applicable to a lot of things.
Jared wants to know who's the bigger nuisance, Tribbles or Gremlins? I think Gremlins.
Oh, yeah, Gremlins.
Yeah.
It's a poor little Tribble. See, more real-life civilian... It just oozes with real-life civilian background here for the two.
Yeah.
He has earned a living. This is City Alpha 5.
Au revoir. Kirk is just he's so good at everyone is so good in this episode.
They're all just straight. Well, they all have their straight lines. Spock has his, his Spock take, Spock reacts. Spock take, Spock reacts.
In some ways, this reminds me of the Next Generation episode. Is it called The Game? When
with the addictive.
Yeah. Like the whole ship is sort of becoming mesmerized by something.
I just realized, first time ever, I just realized one fell off as he was walking up, as Scotty was coming up. The storage compartments. That's the other thing. Anytime someone says storage compartments, you have to say, the what? The what?
So it reminds me of the game on TNG. It also
Hmm.
reminds me of whatever episode on Voyager, the cheese infects the bioneural gel packs. Whatever that episode is.
It's late first season, I have to think.
Kirk is so annoyed.
Quick, take this wall, flip it, and come. Oh, that's the bar. Were you ad-libbing this? What are we doing here? Just think how the path of Star Trek history would have been different if the door had opened on the red shirt, and we would have just said,
Yeah.
"Oh, he's just."
Yeah. Stelios asks, did we ever see a Tribble on TNG?
No, because
I don't
remember
think so.
TNG, we can't copy anything from original series.
That image, that GIF of the Tribbles falling on Kirk, I always use that to describe my email inbox. Whenever people ask, "Hey, are you going to respond to my email?" I tend to send that. I'm like, this is what my inbox is like. Gorged.
561. Dayton, we were in a thread somewhere. Maybe it was about this show, our event or something. Anyway, Dayton chimed in with that. It's like that line. It just doesn't die.
Christoph says a red shirt would die under three Tribbles falling out. Yeah, Cisco and Dax. They're right. That Tribble that just fell,
Yeah.
that was from them.
In a not here, but in a throwback. Well, anyway, is it or is it not? Is there a pure timeline and then there's an overlaid timeline of the?
Well, that's when things get really confusing.
That's when they get tribbly wibbly. Like, and some of them are just like, see, like D is just holding him by some. He's not holding it like it's a thing. He's just holding it by the fuzz.
Right.
Fastest life scan ever.
Yeah,
Two
he
seconds
scanned
past.
a lot of life forms in a very short amount of time. Scott says we
This
did
is like
see a
the peanut
Tribble
gallery
on.
scene.
Scott says we did see a Tribble on TNG. One of the little girls
That's
has one
right.
in
Good.
Where
Yes,
the Bow
Scott.
Breaks. Nice, nice,
That's
nice one,
right.
Scott.
Because for years it was only the bar scene in Search for Spock. Now there were so many triples done that they hung around Desilu, and they were on. They would. There's bloopers from the Lucy show where they would do goofy things with tribbles and crack people up. These are the most populated speaking character scenes in the original series. In this episode, there's especially
Klingon.
this one.
The Klingon High Command.
Mm-hmm.
The Klingon Nationals.
He spends the whole episode like this. He's like leaning forward the whole time.
Has the other Klingon spoken this episode? Oh no, yeah,
Nope.
he made the insult. He had the.
He said
scene
the
with
word. He said Klingon-y, which people used for not Klingon hor.
Well, and he insulted Scotty. There was that moment.
Mm-hmm. Who put the Benzedrine in Mrs. Murphy's Ovaltine? Okay. There you go, Dr. Domino people. Now, why are they not chirping? They see it's like the sphere of radius for the Doomsday Machine. 4 feet is good enough.
Here we go.
Reading how David Gerrold crafted this story with Gene Kuhn and how they came up with the piece, how they gradually got their arms around it and came up with the reveal here at the end.
Klingons.
The way they had to do the blocking on this is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
They had such complicated scene for what they were able to do. It's like these scenes where people just walk in to say their line and then they leave and then they walk. It's like it's Shakespearean. And they didn't chirp as he walked past them.
Kirk is having so much fun here. That little smile.
This is the detective prosecutor Perry Mason reveal scene. Like the one I'm familiar with now is like Murder in Paradise, Death in Paradise.
It's a little Columbo.
Little danger theme. Yeah, Columbo. Well, Mr.
Poisoned?
A virus, you say? And that was like, after I got old enough to think about it, the idea of something being inert but being damaging because it just builds up like a clog, was kind of I was like, oh, okay. He had a lot of fun animating those. You have to know.
Oh, yeah.
Not bad for a little New York Jewish stand-up comedian. I remember Charlie Brill being on game shows and doing stand-up when I was a kid on Ed Sullivan and stuff. And when I got old enough to realize, like, that's Charlie Brill? Get out of town, Koloth. This sector ain't big enough for the two of us.
Larry, I was meaning to ask you, this captain's uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a slightly dressed down captain? What's the significance of this?
It's like this was it premieres in Doomsday Machine and they add the gold stripe the next time. I was just looking back to see when this is about the third or fourth time they were wearing it. It's a second season thing, but it's that tradition now we have of the captain gets something special that's like RHIP kind of a thing. Fenkirk. No, it's like a little more. To me it connotes like a little more leisure. So it's like it's totally. He's wearing it in plenty of dramatic situations, but it's like perfect for a more laid back episode or a lighter toned episode. But
yeah.
The Doomsday Machine was obviously not a light toned episode, but it was just something they wanted to do.
There's so many to pick up.
Solar years, obviously.
17. Consider it job security.
Classic vaudeville timing there. It's all over this episode. But those plastic 60s chairs, which is hysterical because that's one of the things that is one of the things about about Tribble-ations. It's so amazing. People think of the show and the idea and the CG. Well, we can talk about that in a minute.
We'll talk about that, yeah.
Pull away.
He's just putting him in his pockets?
Yeah. you got to start somewhere. See, now the realist in me goes, why don't you just set the transporter to pick up the
just beam 'em
biosigns
up.
of Tribbles and beam everything? It's like a mass cut and paste, right? Here you go. The best mass, what I always used to call a Flintstones ending, where everybody just, ha 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 ha, that's how you laugh.
Yeah.
Mutual Admiration Society. Tell him, Spock. Tell him, Spock.
Gosh.
Now,
this is so good.
If you get lines, you get to spin around in your chair. But if you're poor Hadley, you have to keep staring straight ahead. I always loved how Chekhov turns around and Hadley doesn't, even to not say anything.
You gave him to the Klingons.
Oh. Flintstones ending. Flintstones ending. Okay.
There'll be no Tribble at all.
No. Have you ever heard that?
No.
Okay.
Oh, what a lovely episode.
So that's one of the episodes. William Shallert, yes, Trelane, Stanley Adams, Whit Bissell. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot.
And Mike Pataki, who turns up later they used him a couple of times. He's in a Next Gen first season.
I forgot that the ending credits have this series of shots of other
stills.
episodes.
The stills.
Yeah, the stills. Yeah.
Unremastered stills, almost-ish.
It's funny that this theme has been brought back. This original theme has been brought back, both for the credits for the Kelvin films, but then also for Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
okay.
What a lovely episode! So, so folks, let's get your Deep Space Nine ready.
Queued. Yeah.
Season 5, Episode 6 is what we are going to be watching.
Wow.
The parallel to this. So, and anyone who's just joining us, we are doing a Tribble watch-along party. We just finished the Trouble with Tribbles. And would there be no Tribble at all? And we're now jumping forward to another era.
It's 11:09. And we spent a lot of time yakking before we started that one, so we
did.
Try to plunge ahead.
We plunged ahead, and now we're gonna jump back. We're gonna do both at the same time. So fire it up.
Yes.
And Larry, would you like to do the honors again?
Yeah, I was gonna make an effort looking to chat, but so forgive me. Everybody, and keep enjoying yourselves. I know everybody is. I'm just watching the damn shows and enjoying them too damn much. Okay. So everybody, I didn't realize how you could preset if you download on Netflix. Maybe this is old hat to everybody else. I'd never done this before.
Probably done that, yeah.
But they're all queued up and ready to go. I mean, I did this last night. I'm like, wow. Okay, are we ready to go, everybody?
Yep. Season 5, Episode 6, Trials and Tribble-ations.
Okay, it's Tribble-ations. What do you mean?
Tribble-ations.
Come on, Ollie, get with the program. Okay.
There'll be no Tribble here.
That doesn't even make sense. Okay, here we go, everybody. I don't know the Klingon E, but it's, how about tres, dos, uno?
Engage.
And we start off with a relic from Star Trek 6. Okay, yay.
Oh.
That model.
Yeah. This happened. This was filmed after Generations. Yeah, right. This is for the 30th anniversary of Star Trek.
30th
right?
anniversary. The DS9, the Voyager one had been done in the spring or early in the fall. It aired. Flashback.
Yeah, flashback.
First mention of Department of Temporal Investigations, which people have had fun with, especially in the books. Dayton's had a lot of fun.
Dax. Just so right off the bat, that feeling,
Whereas
you folks from Temporal Investigation are always on time. That feels very TOS. It feels very Trouble with Tribbles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
These guys are so funny.
This is the first time where time travel got self-referentially spoofable. You touched my baseball.
Oh gosh, it's so funny. They're also setting this episode up for folks who
easiest time travel technobabble. Well, Orb of Time. Yeah, I'm sorry,
but it's also setting folks up for setting up viewers who haven't seen Deep Space Nine.
Yeah,
like this is a great introduction to a great side episode that you can watch even if you haven't really seen much DS9. Ah, here's our friend.
Barry Waddle.
Barry Waddle.
Kiva Centrillium from Aaron to Mercy.
Fish juice.
Fish juice, fish juice, ucky yucky fish juice.
Worf. I rather like the way you smell.
Somebody did Touch of Lilac earlier in the chat.
Oh, it's so good. It's written so well. How far we've come, Larry, from TOS. We've got a Federation cloaking device here.
Say what?
Or a Federation ship. How far we've come from TOS that a Federation ship has a cloaking device.
Oh, yeah. Here. Well, it's an exception.
I know.
Chronotons, that's your clue. Oh, it's the Prophets. No, it's not the Prophets. Our DP went to a highly oversaturated filter. Our view screen is turned into a Motorola.
Christoph is asking, is fish juice a thing? I don't know, Christoph. Fish sauce is a thing. That's something that is... I don't think there's actually sauce in fish sauce, but that's a thing.
Everybody was ready for this. This wasn't like a shock on premiere week night. Everybody was ready for it had been premiered.
Yeah, we all knew. Zahir says,
Here's credits.
Late. Zahir, we are just getting started on trials and Tribble-ations. We're at the intro sequence.
Here you go. Speaking of, it was not a surprise. Whoops, come here. Can you see that? The promotion department at Paramount had these made up. These were Tribbles with a little two-faced promo
Oh,
See, these were live. They put these out like in buses and train stations and airports
beaming
and
down the week of
public places
November 4th.
all over the
Yeah.
country. It's just a little monofilament light. And I found them. I scarfed up a couple. I promised you some real life K3. There you go.
I love this intro so much. I love the theme. I love the station. I love the scale.
Bajoran transport.
Yeah, this is oh man, this makes me miss Deep Space Nine so much. This just makes me want to rewatch Deep Space Nine.
So real quick, when they were talking about the 30th anniversary show and Voyager did flashback and took the Star Trek 6 bits and pulled a lot of the Excelsior out of the closet and did that and made it a
brought George Takei back in
and got George Takei and Grace Lee also.
Yep.
And Boris Krutnog, who played the helmsman, but he had a broken foot when they reshot it, and they just painted his cast black, and it looked like a boot. DS9 wanted to go back, and they had just figured out they could do that CGI insertion cheaply, totally serendipitous. And they originally thought about they wanted to do a lighthearted thing. They originally thought about going back to Sigma Iosha 2 and doing the Iosians again from Piece of the Action. But they thought that might be,
I love that line.
But they went with
there have been 5 Enterprises, 6. Because the man was a menace.
You say that so exactly. Friday. Now, these were all original redone. Greg Jean built real models just for this show and went way overboard and went in the hole on the cost.
So he just said it was one of the old deep space stations. So it's potential that
confusion factor for modern audience that didn't know. So when they talk about Deep Space 7 or K7, Deep Space.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe the K stations became Deep Space. They were renamed.
Yeah, but it cleans up the confusion for anybody who's new to the original series.
It also provides a bit more of a link between Deep Space Nine and
this was. Episode. I'm having to put myself back into. TNG references Naked Now from Naked Time or Naked Time from Naked Now, but it was so rare to be on. This was so on the nose to reference original series like this. And of course, Voyager had been around for a couple of years by now. Yeah. So Ron and Renee were the primary. They all broke it together, but they did this minute bit about what pieces of scene, what's the time code on the scenes when we need to interpolate the CG, overlays and all that. But they would find the time code from Tribbles and put it in the script. Like, I want you. This is what I'm talking about. This scene right here, this moment, pop that in. Is my video in sync and okay, or does it seem slowed? Or
you seem okay to me. You seem
okay. Okay, it's just me then.
So I remember there was a big discussion of Deep Space Nine was using Forrest Gump technology to insert the crew in these old scenes. Do you have any background here, Larry, on how these things sort of came together? Is this even possible in our budget? Did the idea come first, or
there's a whole. The year before, this all started in the spring. Everybody was aware that it was the 30th anniversary year. Everybody was already hyping and getting up on it, and Voyager decided what they were doing. And part of the mix of this was on the side, some of the visual effects teams that they used, and Gary Hutzel was key on this, already did a sample where they put 2 guys from the thing onto as red shirts on the bridge at the back, and they do it where Kirk comes on, and they're showing it to people and going, oh, "This is cool," and they go, "What is it?" And they go, "No, look at those 2 guys in the back. Those are new guys." They're and people would go, "Oh my God, it's true." This is on the. I think this is on the Blu-rays, and they went, "We can, not even about money, but about time. Like, we can do this on a TV time budget." Now this was shot early in the season and showed early in the season, and they knew they had the break to work on it and perfect it. and to like build the costumes. But it was they would the only thing that isn't turned to dust because this was velour. The eventual they're wearing Harry Mudd. I mean Harry Mudd. They're wearing Cyrano Jones.
Right.
They're traders. This is the official traders uniform.
It's
Worf and his Spock, his Spock beanie.
Right, his Spock beanie. It's so great to see
this
them.
retcons this retcon. I'm sorry, this retcons so much stuff for original series. They told you how many decks are in the station. But these models, this was a half, the 11-footer from the original series. This is like 5.5 feet. Everybody went over.
This is a model?
Yeah. Oh yes, Greg G. I went over. I've got a picture of me posed with it. The K7
beautiful.
model is a model. And budget, the D7, the Klingon battle cruiser, didn't exist until 3rd season. And then the remasters put it in. But before the remasters were 10 years, 12 years before the remasters, he built a D7 and they have it orbiting the station. So remember that was the first time you saw a D7 at K7 was here, not in 2008 or 9 put in by remaster digitally.
It's a beautiful looking model. So I was just trying to say, seeing Bashir, his hair, seeing the crew in the original uniforms. I'm trying to use voice here. This is so good. It's quite moving to see the original uniforms back in action with this new crew.
This is what everybody does. Oh, watch the natives. Now, this actress is a friend of Renee Echevarria's. When they needed to cast, they wrote this scene this one and the other one as kind of a fill-in for character. It was a last-minute thing, and they didn't know who to cast. And he's like, I've got somebody, and that's a friend of his who the whole there's so many. Okay, I did a specialty article on this for the Communicator. I did a log. It's the most fun thing I ever wrote. And I watched 3 days of filming this on set and got all the stories and all the behind the scenes and put it in. And I did one of my CDs that I sell for the 50th anniversary has a lot of people talking about this. So I was here. We did it. It's an amazing show. And there's so many little production stories and I can't say all of them. I could do a 2-hour panel on this.
What I love about that moment is Dax remembers 23rd century design because Dax was around during the 23rd century.
And it's so cool to have her perspective to say, this is not old 60s stuff.
Yes.
This was the beginning of the whole 60s is retro cool. That's the reason why when everything blew up in 2005 and people thought, well, the executives and bean counters thought Star Trek was old and tired. And JJ said, no, let's go back to the roots and do a Kirk, Spock, McCoy. This is the beginnings of that. But they had to go back and get approvals. Everybody was alive still, even D, and they had to go back and get approvals from everybody to, which it's more residual. So of course they're.
So they also remade these sets, I'm assuming, Larry.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this was all built. Well, here's the thing. There's so many threads in this. This is at a time when people saw this as the washed out syndicated cuts or washed out VHS tapes that were made from positives. To get a match professionally, they realized they had to go, they pulled the negative and made a new print.
Yeah.
And I was there for part of this. Everybody started studying that to match color and lighting and set and all that. Because for those the way they had to do it and have it look good and not look like somebody's home project.
Right.
And this was the first time that, now we're used to it, but the first time anybody saw a negative restruck with a fresh positive and saw all those colors come alive, and detail and the contrast.
Yeah.
Crew was like, oh my God, because even the fans on the crew had 30 years of watching washed out episodes. And this was kind of the first time they went, why have we not taken the time to go back and pull these negatives? This was really the beginning of what all the Blu-ray and the remastering was
Yeah.
about. People were
Yeah.
shocked at how good they looked. But it started off as a necessity for making this episode work, blending the new and the old.
You were gonna do this. Where should we start?
Notice how it's not quite spitting as fast as it should. You forget about these little.
It's both very DS9 and very TOS at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Well, there no. How do I say this diplomatically? Of the two series at the time, this was the one that could pull this off.
Yeah,
And I'm-
absolutely.
I'm not talking about actors.
Yeah, I agree. I always say this. I think DS9 is the most TOS series.
Huh?
Ah, the thing on the wall, Larry.
You've got Odo mocking Spock here, with the whole "I'm seduced by the feline qualities of the furry animal thing of the Tribble." Yeah.
The dramatic music on the reveal of the Tribble.
Now, see that octagon back there?
Yeah.
They had to recreate the light fixture. They had to recreate that. That
it's
is
more
in
reflective.
my living room.
Oh, you have that in your living room?
Anthony Fredrickson brought that to me, complete with the tape rip on the back, where it was just taped
that
on the wall.
That actual one?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's the only Trek thing I've got another thing here too. I don't have a lot of stuff like that. Look at Worf snarling. His lips about to curl back into infinity.
Mortal enemies of the Klingon Empire. Oh. A plague to be wiped out.
And this little speech right here sets off a whole angle of,
An armada obliterated the Tribble homeworld?
Songs of the Great Tribble Hunt.
The 6 songs of the Great Tribble Hunt.
Who knows? There's David, the world's oldest security guard. We were laughing. So the alarm goes off on the station at the moment it goes off on the ship. That was fun.
Gosh, what would it have been like to be on those sets again? Or to remake these sets?
Like I said, I've done panels before. Yeah.
Just it's his.
I think it's this. Okay, D7. That made it canon. Ron got D7 put into dialogue to finally make it screen canon. Because that was a fan joke way after the original series. This is why, having Dax as a character.
Had we seen Koloth yet? I think we have in Deep Space Nine. No?
Oh yeah. Blood Oath was second season.
Yeah.
As a bumpy head. As a 100-year-old.
Yeah.
150-year-old.
They cure the virus at that point. Yeah, Dax really wants to see her old friend.
He had to cheat on his communicator there. He didn't trust it. Now this scene right here, when they come out of the turbo lift and they
Too
do
much.
their walk there, or one of those scenes, Renee and Ron and I were tucked up in the tri ladder just on the left side of that door as they did the big pass by. It's anyway, it's a we were tucked, not here, the
Um,
round thing.
got a question coming in from Mitzi. Is asking, what are we watching? Well, we're watching Deep Space Nine: Trials and Tribulations, episode 5, or season 5,
Mitzi,
episode 6. We're about 20 minutes in to it. If you'd like to join us.
this was
Um,
an add-in added to take up time, but they got her back. Hi, Mitzi. Mitzi, solo scientist, worked for NASA. Dear Flapsy. When
so,
the cast had no idea. None of them were well, Michael was a fan. None of the rest of them were TOS. Anyway, the first time they brought a tricorder out, everybody was like opening it like a next gen. Everybody held them flat with and they had to show them how to hold it
that's
right.
funny.
And you hold it upright. I'll never forget that. People would like walk over.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
That's a lot of. They're only 100 years earlier. Great
Yeah.
grandmother. That's a lot. That's a lot of. The what? The what?
Oh my. Oh my gosh.
You got to remember, O'Brien and Kira are veterans of the whole pick a 20-year cycle and beam into it from past tense, right?
hmm
And there you go. Sid does that, pulls that off just amazingly. Yeah, she had to be coached.
So I had one piece of mental health to share here too, about
Uh-huh.
nostalgia. And so nostalgia is that not only are the characters experiencing some nostalgia. Wow, I'm experiencing nostalgia for just an hour ago, Larry. There's the scene.
Uh-huh. There
So
you go.
so they inserted that in. There was no relay
Yeah, that's one of the
station.
inserts.
Yeah.
There's a few other ones coming up that are even more iconic. And here's Jadzia representing all of first generation female fandom that
Right.
became zine writers. Forget Kirk. Now, is it yellow? It's yellow! Yay! See?
Let's go.
The first time she said that line, she said, one of the most famous men in Star Trek history. And everybody started laughing. And she's like, what? What did I do? She said, you said Star Trek instead of Starfleet. It was funny.
Star Trek.
Yeah. And the famous
Mm.
slowest door opening in ages. So that real life model, there's a little they canonize that the bottom thing is a docking bay. That's where they dock their shuttlecrafts.
Linda
And
says,
they
I
made it.
adore this scene.
There's a tiny little shuttle and a tiny little. Well, go ahead.
Oh, Linda says,
I
I
can
adore this
sidewalk
scene,
stuff.
knowing that she married Spock's son.
See those bar glasses? They matched. The whole sog of the show is all the art prop, not just visual effects, matching the original. Those 60s heavy glass bar glasses with the square. Those chairs, they had those chairs custom built from a pattern, not CGI printing, but built by a custom lab that built the chairs to match.
That's him. That's Kirk. Oh, Brian. Those are Klingons.
The irony of this scene was it was a compromise because they wanted to get into coming up with they wanted to explain the flathead, bumpy head thing right here.
Yeah.
And they just decided it was they couldn't do it in a few lines without it being ridiculous and be canonical. So they made a joke.
Yes.
Which people kind of immediately pointed out that you didn't hand wave it away. You just made it worse. Because now it's acknowledged. You can't just say, it's a budget thing, ignore it. Now it's made canon.
I love that explanation. And then I love that they say genetic engineering of viral mutation. Because it's both. It's both of those things.
Well, at the time, the FASA gaming system had tried to explain it as the flatheads were specifically bred to interact with humans and be insidious or be more approachable or whatever. That was like the clumsy... the whole viral thing they did in Enterprise had to react to this scene as well as everything else. Mr. Scott.
Klingoni.
Now, I wasn't there for this, but Mike Okuda tells a great story when they were first playing with the communicators. Nobody could get the hang of it, and they were trying to figure out what the right way to do. Yeah. And they said, all of a sudden, they heard a little voice from the shadows say, here, I'll show you. And Walter was visiting that day, and Walter walked over and gave everybody a communicator lesson. It was adorable.
Oh, that is so sweet.
I wish I'd been there right then. But anyway, it's a great story. Anyway. Now, what's amazing here is like the backside of the bar that you don't see is what they use for the DS9. See how they did that?
Yeah.
That was just amazing at the time that was like, look. Hold my beer, Forrest Gump. And these kind of things, where let's throw the chair in front of O'Brien in front of the, Cyrano.
Yeah, no, this is...
I love when the tables wobble. Sure.
Yeah, we're back again. I don't know what's been going on here. Okay, I keep trying to give... some mental health here during the fight scene. I don't know why I keep doing that. So we're back here in this fight scene. Wow, that is a very strong security officer.
Yeah, beefy, we might say. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to give some.
The other station.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're back here at Deep Space Nine. Wow, not K7.
It's envelope bookending story, yeah. To me, this is like the first big hysterical, self-referential Star Trek. Even more so than Flashback was.
Yes. Yeah, Flashback wasn't...
It's almost like Flashback was written by people who learned Star Trek later, and this was written by people that knew it when they were 13. Yeah. yeah, this I don't know, sir. Yeah.
I don't know, sir. Okay, so yeah, what I was trying to say here is about nostalgia. This episode is deeply nostalgic. Not only is Dax experiencing nostalgia for a previous era, the other characters are experiencing nostalgia for these historical figures that they're coming into contact with. We as fans are experiencing nostalgia, seeing them in the original series uniform, seeing the original cast, all of this kind of stuff. So
To the
yeah,
degree that they did everything, that the crew and the
oh
producers did
yeah,
everything and took the time and the money to do it right.
yeah. So let's just kind of unpack nostalgia a little bit, why it even exists. Um, Nostalgia, a few things. Our older memories, our memories about the past. The the less positive things fade away faster than the more positive things. So
Mm.
we tend to look back upon memories with a little bit of a rosier lens.
Yeah.
But the question of like why nostalgia even exists, it tends to remind us of the people and moments that are really important in our life. To either reconnect with those moments and those people, or to reconnect with the connections we have right now. Um,
I forget that he mentions the Hall of Warriors.
Kirk's head in one hand and a Tribble at the other. Yeah, Cairo is saying, such a trope. Now the big baddie of the episode explains his plan that he set in motion. Put a bomb in a Tribble. Yeah,
But this
so
was also the first thing of finding that they could reconnect literally, livingly with Tribbles by having I've just gone blank on his name, Charlie Brill. Actually, have Charlie Brill come in and recreate his character. Also sets up later on when they're trying to cast Vic Fontaine,
mm,
and they start thinking about, well, let's get Frank Sinatra Jr. to play him. Well, he doesn't want to, and getting into that mindset to wound up with that wound up with Jimmy Darren.
um, Mitzi says, I have fond memories of a tour of the Deep Space Nine set. Nostalgia. Thanks, Larry, for that. And I, I think that's the thing about this is as you see this and you get nostalgic, to really think about, well, what are you feeling nostalgic for? And as Mitzi was just sharing here, is gratitude for that tour.
Mhm.
Thinking about like, what is this bringing up? Like, does it bring up? Here's, I guess, your away mission for this week. Like watching these episodes, who does it remind you of? What moments in your life? Are there any ways you can reconnect with those people? And if it's not
Yeah,
possible, to reconnect with those memories today.
I don't think that's much of an assignment. I think people do that, subconsciously.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, nostalgia has been so. I feel like it's so often weaponized by Hollywood. Um, but
Hmm.
here, I think we've got both behind the scenes and in front of the camera, so much love and attention to the original series and one of the most iconic episodes of the original series. It's this is really nostalgia done so well.
So they built a big corridor set live to film in. They built that half of the bar, and they built a pie. They built just the door and a piece of the console. They didn't redo the bridge. but it's mainly like levels that she's walking. They green screened it or blue screened it then, whatever, wherever state we were in then.
Yeah, I gotta say they match the lighting so well here.
See,
Um,
that's why they had to go back and get the original.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what's so hard to do with blue screening and green screening, and that's why the innovation of the Mandalorian of projecting
and
light
this
onto.
this was this is that Emily. They fix the timeline of the Daxes, make Emily there, and make her and McCoy at least having a one night stand. I mean, anyway, just that whole
Oh
tantalizing
my
thing of McCoy
gosh,
being a young. Yeah,
Dax
I
is so
love that. I
amazing.
love that moment.
Dax is so amazing.
Love that scene.
Dax is the
Look, it's a
best.
ton of Oxidol. I mean, I'm sorry, it's a ton of quadrotriticale. They just, yeah. So here's your second blow up moment. This,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
this is a
yeah.
this is a moving Tribble that Gary Monak gave me
Is
in a
that an
pile of
original?
automated ones. They did the yes. They did the moving Tribbles the exact same way the original series did. They got animals, and this is a little car, and then strap that on. See, the batteries are in it, and the batteries are long dead,
Yeah.
and I won't cut that. But they
I
did
feel like
they
I'm
did their
seeing
motion
something.
Tribbles the exact same way.
I feel like I'm seeing something I'm not meant to see. The underside of a tribble.
Sorry, wheelies.
So I love that the this defining element of the tribbles is the rising action in this episode, raising the stakes here,
And O'Brien scanning them one at a time.
one at a time.
That's gonna work. And this scene was totally green screen. They've got him at a table with the chess set. There's picture or it's blue screen. Now, yeah, it was blue screen they use. They've got shots of Avery with the blue behind him, just sitting there with tribbles and the checkers. That angle, that angle. See,
It's such a good balance, Larry, of giving you some of the nostalgia, but still
mm-hmm.
keeping their own story going.
Keeping an overlay over, yeah. See, they need to say storage compartments, storage compartments. Now, this is a conceit. When they built the models, they said we have to have them look decent enough for our effects. We're just going to use the conceit that we're so close, we're going to see detail that you never
Hmm.
saw at the angle you saw it in the 60s. And there was an example right there, the K7. And a lot of the detail in the K7 you never saw, period, that was there, including the lettering. The top says United Federation of Planets around it on this in a circle. But it's cool that all the actors and or I don't know if it's the estates like I don't know who all was alive at the time
Scott says
of the
only
supporting.
the only thing that bugs me about the physical model of the Enterprise is the nacelle spin in the same direction.
They made it. They nobody could recreate the lighting bit. Nobody could until they got into the nacelles at the Smithsonian, I think. But
Mm.
I've got pictures of the gizmo that Gary Hutzel came up with to get it, which to me has been the CG just doesn't do the nacelles justice. They've never come up with a CG that they went through 3 times on the CG on the Blu-rays and worked and worked and worked on it. But
Watching this also really makes me want an HD remaster of Deep Space Nine. But an episode like this, I can't imagine how complicated it would be to turn this into HD.
uh,
I love how the sound is so faded of that.
what
I
are the
mean,
odds?
the the
The odds are
the
1 million
attention to
seven hundred and
detail.
seventy-one. Yeah, that's why it was so much fun to catalog all because there were so many heroic. Every department had such a. I mean, lighting They were bringing in these lights because they oversaturate the damn thing. They didn't even make instruments big enough and hot enough to, they had to like find ways to equal the lighting illumination.
Oof.
What a line.
I do wish we had a little bit more of Nana in this episode.
Well, she was. I think this is when she's pregnant. Yeah.
Yeah.
But remember, this came out. It would be 3 more years before D passed from his stomach cancer, and he was the first of the cast. So everybody was still alive when they made this from the original cast. I think all the major guest cast had passed, which is why Charlie Brill was like so amazing to find.
Well,
and we all know, everybody knows the bit about Dulmer and Luxley. Do you know this, Ali?
Mm-mm.
The 2 temporal agents, or temporal investigation agents. This was iconic too. This is not from Tribbles. This is from Mirror Mirror. Thank God Luna was diminutive enough that big Avery could fit over her outline.
I would have done the same thing.
So Dulmer and Luxley, in case this is news to anyone, are anagrams from Mulder and Scully.
Oh.
You didn't know that?
No. That's okay. Awesome. That's a great detail.
Yeah. Ira and Ron and Renee and Hans wrote this damn thing. It's just chock full. And then they had a crew to put it together.
Oh no.
This was probably my least, maybe I'm colored by Armin's reaction. This was probably my least favorite part of this episode.
Really? Why?
Because they thought they had to do it. But Armin said, for one thing, how stupid is it that Quark has just been sitting there with a Tribble on his head for a few minutes and then decides to take it off because the camera pulls the pan back?
I can see.
Like, what is the logic of this scene?
So we know that the Ferengi have very sensitive lobes. Maybe their scalp is quite sensitive as well. So as the credits are playing, Larry, we got a decision to make. The short trek episode.
Do we want to do Edward or not?
Yeah, do we want to do Edward or not? It's a. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I'm 50-50. I mean, the only thing is, a lot of people are not happy with Trouble. A lot of people love it. A lot of people aren't happy with it. I was upset. I mean, I realized they went back and threaded canon the way that the Franklin did and Captain Edison did in Beyond. They totally did a needle, and everything that I was alarmed about in Edward, I've since seen how it could be retconned and spread in and all that. But basically, if Edward is 10 years before the Tribbles, before K7, if it's 10 years before that and they're playing around, that's the thing that's kind of with it. And if you're talking, but if you keep thinking that little place that's isolated and it's not really back out it's not a familiar, commonly known thing, Tribbles are, then it's okay. And the fact that he's talking about Phlox has had Tribbles already 100 years earlier, which is on an Earth ship. So that's one testament to the fact that, well, maybe it's okay. But anyway, um, I've since made the biggest thing I have about Edward is the whole tone of it. But then that's me. But you're talking about, do we want to go ahead and show it or not? I don't know that anybody would lose any sleep. I don't know what everybody's saying in the chat. If you're throwing it
Yeah,
out
I
for
mean,
that,
I'm just sensitive to the
it
fact
is
that I know
noon now.
not everyone has access to it, and we're all almost at the top of the hour. I think we
Yeah,
I think we do a little Picard
let's have a
maneuver.
yeah. If
Yeah, and let's kind of just chat, and
okay,
we can save Edward for another time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is
So
anybody
folk,
going to revolt?
we'll find out. We
Nope.
found out.
No one's
Um,
leaving. Okay.
yeah, Tim was asking about the animated episode.
See, this
I
is
think,
exactly why we didn't try for the animated in the first place.
yeah, we
You
just
know,
the time is short. Maybe we'll do. It's more Tribbles, more Troubles. Is that the animated
yes.
episode? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is the better.
Glommer.
It's the better Tribble. It's a better other Tribble episode. But yeah, no, I think folks are okay with skipping it. I
Maybe
know
in
it's
five
only
years from now, I'll feel better about Edward. But right now,
there's
I'm.
there's things I like about Edward. I like some of the scientific ethics involved. I think there's a
Mm.
lot to discuss there. But yeah, let's leave it at that. And I
The
just want to
ethics
say,
against the mad lone scientist who refuses to to
I just want
share
to say
his
how much
work or overview.
I really enjoyed that. That was Libby's recommendation many weeks ago for our next watch along to pair these two together. I've never
Mhm.
watched them back to back like that, Larry. I don't know if you've done that. But
I
it's
think I
it's
have at least once, and I know it's on one of the on I think the TAS before. Well, it hasn't obviously hasn't been HD'd, but I think one of the original series Blu-rays they have that as an option with and all three. All well then
yeah.
the animated series episode is, and that was before, I think it was before the animateds were out on Blu-rays. Anyway, you
Yeah.
there's a feature where you can see all three together back to back on one of the discs.
These two and more Tribbles, more Troubles.
Hmm. Hmm.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I remember there was a
there are people have done a lot. I know it's been a fan thing to do watch-alongs for people show these back to back
yeah,
at
I know
times.
people have there was that
They're just
time
behind.
where they were combining a lot of different themed DVDs together. Like they had the
Mhm.
Borg episodes, they had the Q episodes that they put together. I thought those sets were a lot of fun. But yeah, this was a ton of fun. Just nothing but real joy watching these episodes together. I was
Again, guys, I apologize again for not keeping up in chat as we usually do, but then this is a different kind of a format for us, so I apologize. Thanks. I mean, Ali was keeping much better check there on the. You got the chat illuminate button anyway too, so that makes
um,
sense.
yeah, yeah, I had a lot of fun with that, and um, in my prep for this episode, I was just reading up on Trouble with Tribbles, and I was reading that originally when it aired, it had mixed reviews, which seems so strange to read that now because this episode is so beloved. It's so much fun.
I'm just
Um,
shocked that anybody was reviewing Star Trek in the 60s. I'm like, really? People reviewed individual episodes?
yeah.
This was like in the wiki call or
Well, yeah,
article.
in
Ralph?
Wikipedia, maybe that was like the one person who was reviewing each new episode of Star Trek didn't like this one, and
And
that's where
and
that.
did they actually go to the trouble of saying it's too silly, or did they have some other arcane comment?
I didn't get into the details because I thought that was just so wrong. I didn't even go into the details of it all.
Victoria Yu and everyone's army is wishing for a DS9 HD. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot. It's the CG barriers, right, Larry?
Hmm.
Recreating those CG effects is going to be a lot more work than the TOS and TNG remaster. Um,
Because they were made as CG, or not. They weren't made as CG, but they weren't meticulously kept. And the next, well, the original series was easy because it was just the film pieces, and you could just run the whole thing through in HD it or recreate the original effects in CG, which was easy. And next gen, the visual effects pieces actually existed completely cataloged, where you could go pull all the pieces, scan them, and combine them. And it was still meticulous and time consuming, but it was doable.
Time breaking is what we just watched.
Yes, right. But that does not everything, and you had increasing, and then Voyager was like half CG and half.
Yeah.
It increasingly went from motion control models to CG in fits and starts, and it's
Linda
doable.
Saying,
it's just you want to throw the money at it.
Yeah, Linda is saying maybe
and
we
the
can
next
do
gen
the
sales went. People forget this, but the more the next gen sets came out, as the 5th, 6th, 7th seasons came, the sales totally dropped off.
Yeah, and I think the reason for that is that's also when Netflix streaming started to really take off, and streaming as an option started to take off. I have all the TNG Blu-rays, but my watching of them decreased as the HD remasters appeared on Netflix. And it's just more convenient to watch them. But I have them all. I lament
most times I handled my discs, or when we do the big tour, and I have to pull them out to run them on the DVD player on the van.
Well, the thing that I really miss are the behind-the-scene features and the bonus features and the interviews and commentaries. Those are the things that you really lose with streaming only. Linda says maybe one of these Saturdays we can do the Gorn episodes. So I'm guessing that means the TOS and the Enterprise episode. Is that the only time we see the Gorn?
Yeah. If you don't mean like there's a Gorn on the Elysian Council in Time Trap on the animated. It's like there's a Gorn in the. Yeah.
Wait, I'm itching to do a Voyager next. I was itching to do Voyager for a little while. Anything that links Voyager and Enterprise. Those are.
That's what Scott is pointing out. There were reviews of these. The Voyager. Yeah, there were reviewers. I'm just saying that they tended to be like local. There may have been. Anyway, yeah. Aside from Cleveland Amory reviewing things in TV Guide when we get around to it weekly, all the different series on TV. I don't.
Yeah,
Tim says
we could do Star Trek 6 and Flashback. If we had 3 hours.
3 hours. Everybody says, yeah, we can do that. We can do that.
That would be a lot of work. I guess we could do Pegasus and the Enterprise finale, but maybe not.
That would be 3 hours too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the Enterprise finale, it's not 2 hours. Isn't it just 1 hour episode? Is it 2 hours?
All Good Things is 2 hours. Yes.
No. Pegasus and the Enterprise finale. These are the Voyagers.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But that's that would bring up I think complicated feelings. Yeah, Linda says please no. Yeah,
3 hours tour.
With 3 hour tour, we should really do Voyager next. I think. Well,
I'm just going to say this, and I'll tease it, and I won't say any more. But we have. I think as we approach this time of this is Ollie and I kind of me spitballing on Ollie right now, but as we approach this time of getting back to creating our own themes every week and not having any fresh Trek to pivot off, which is what we did the first, few months, 4, 5, 6 months of Life Support Live, was we came up with a theme and sometimes we had it up for a vote. We get back into time of that again, talking about ways to break up the format here with guests or with watch-alongs, and we'll still do our classic format. We have another watch-along planned in tandem with another thing. So, and I don't know if maybe we do, and I haven't even thrown this at you, Ollie, if we do maybe one watch along a month and do, or every 2 months or something. But
I
We
think
have
one a
another
month
watch
is,
along
is pretty
already
good.
in mind for a specific purpose, but we can keep talking about this. We've got guys, and gals, we've got our Facebook page. So if you're new with us this morning, this was our watch alongs are atypical. We have a structure that we usually follow with the themes, but we do have our Facebook page, and you can keep up with what's going on and what everybody else is talking about and on Facebook. So I encourage everybody to go over there. Nothing else.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
Jared. Thank you.
we've got some good votes coming in
That's
for Voyager. Tim says Year of Hell. Um, someone mentioned Timeless.
I had
and-
mentioned Year of Hell just to cap off 2020 with, as other people have done along the way too. But
Yeah.
we threw it out there, and everybody wanted to go with a fun thing. Who knew? So okay.
Cairo mentions Enterprise, Demons, and Terra Prime watch along. I really think those. It's such a that is the real finale of Enterprise, and I think those are really strong episodes and really relevant to right now. Yeah, we've
that
got,
scene where all the Terra Prime people storm the Coalition headquarters and try to take out the ambassadors. You know.
Oh my gosh.
With the antimatter zip ties, that's really chilling.
God. Linda says Tuvix. Oh wow, that would be intense. What a great episode.
That will be a Dr. Mattu special.
Oh yeah, I could tell you. I could say a lot about that.
I'm just gonna sit back and go. Yes, this was the first season show.
Oh, I love Tuvix.
Yeah.
I think
nothing
Tuvix
special about this except the reaction it got from people. Yeah.
Well, folks, as we start to wind down here, one thing I want to say is there's two things I want to say, actually. We want to thank, as always, Jared and Scott for helping to moderate the show, putting together some of the promo imagery, keeping things running week to week. So thank you, Scott, and thank you, Jared, for that. And we also want to thank Scott, who's been editing all of our audio and to get it onto the podcast. We're up to almost 15 episodes. Our first 15 episodes are up on the podcast. And please, folks, if you can leave a review or star the podcast, Life Support Live, on whatever podcatcher app you use, please do that. That'll help folks to discover the show. We're slowly
How do we tell people to find it? We are promoting it. I thought we were going to wait inside the circle here.
At least here for all the lifers, if you could at least
Hi everybody, we're having a meeting.
If you could at least review it and star it, that's gonna set the podcast up well when we do actually start.
On what platforms?
Whatever platform you use, on iTunes, okay. If you use Spotify, if you use Overcast, whatever, Stitcher, whatever podcasting platform you use, if you could just leave us a review, like a sentence about how much you enjoy this community, that would be lovely. Larry and I will start promoting the podcast more once we're caught up to recent times, which we're getting to. But yeah, in the meantime, if you could leave a review.
We keep insisting on churning out a new show a week, which is kind of annoying when you're trying to catch up. But...
yeah, no, it makes it hard to catch up. Larry, I'm going to start playing the sad music here as I'm playing that. What's going on in Trekland this week?
We are recuperating from the holidays and from 2020, and there's nothing big. I'm trying to think here, wildly think. I mean, I think we're looking at a year of a lot more virtual events. Like STLV in Vegas is set for the second weekend in August, and there's even people debating about whether the human reaction to the virus is going to be such even by then that we're able to feel comfortable about being in large groups and spaces. But anyway, for the foreseeable future, everybody's still virtual. Everybody's still meeting up. Nothing real big, except from Portal 47 is chugging along. We love to have people come in with us. Speaking of DS9, Laura Richards, who was the set decorator and did amazing things to recreate, had those chairs cast for the K7 bar. She's our Portal 47 guest of the month this week behind the scenes, which is awesome. But yeah, no big events, guys. There's probably some things coming along down the pike, and probably something I'm forgetting right now. But right now, just come on over to Anything Trekland. Larry Nemecek on Twitter, and Larry Nemecek's Trekland, and wherever you're watching right now, like and subscribe to YouTube if you can.
Yeah,
How about you,
Not much going on. It's been a pretty busy time here in, this is not Trekland. This is, Psychland here. No.
It's such a show.
You can keep connected. I'm at Mattu on Twitter, on Instagram, YouTube channel, The Psych Show. One of these days, I will finish editing that video. I promise you, folks. One of these days, I've got 3 episodes just.
What video
sitting.
is that?
I've got a video about my biggest failures, and I guess I should add to it, which is editing that video is probably
Editing the video.
I've got 3 episodes that are just sitting here waiting to be edited. Those are hopefully coming out soon. Times have been busy, but we're gonna be back next week with an all-new episode. We're getting, for the first time in a long time, we're getting back to our old format. And so
the classic. It's the classic life support.
Life support live. It's Life Support Live, the original.
Next week. We're doing this next week.
Next Saturday, we'll be back right here.
Oh yeah,
Stay
there it
tuned.
is. Okay.
And if anyone has any requests, let us know on our Facebook page. We'd love to get your requests for topics you'd like us to explore. And Larry, until then, watch out for those Tribbles and live long and prosper, my friend.
They can be trouble. Yes, everybody. Truck well.